Good afternoon to the grade 11s. We had our P.1 today, which was the comprehension passage, the summary, and the language editing. All right, when we coming to our instructions and information, we always insist that learners drill themselves in knowing exactly what they must do and not do. One of the challenges we face is the under preparation of a section and less time allocated now to what must be done. Comprehension is 30 marks, demanding. Summary is 10, and language in context is 30 marks. The instructions say read all the instructions carefully, answer all the questions, start each section on a new page, roll off after each section, number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in the question paper, leave a line after each answer, pay special attention to spelling and sentence construction. Your section A, you're roughly supposed to spend 50 minutes there. Your section B, roughly 30 minutes, and section C, roughly 40 minutes. Write neatly and legibly. Let's go to the comprehension. Your comprehension was based on In Pursuit of Perfect Sleep. We will give a round of applause to the people who are setting our papers, because I believe they are bringing in relevant content in the comprehension to us as teenagers in the classroom. We all are in need of sleeping properly since we are on the high demand of being at school. And as a result, it means that this is something which was highly relevant to us. When we are coming to In Pursuit of Perfect Sleep, they might have used the terminologies that you felt you were not clear with. Someone, when they left the exam today, said, oh, that was life science because they gave us orthosomnia and all these things. But I believe this is just terminology that will be used, and therefore you must not use it as a barrier to say, I do not know this word, and therefore it means it's a difficult comprehension. But if you look at the content that they brought in what actually causes problems in sleep and finding out or diagnosing what exactly caused the challenges in sleep. It means that a majority of your answers were supposed to be based on giving them in the opposite now. So as a result, it was a beautiful comprehension that dealt with sleeping disorder. And as such, let's go to text B. Your text B was a visual which says, I know 8 hours of sleep a day is normal, but not at work. So now we always have to find a connection between text A and text B, because I believe we now are drilled to understand that we need to make a connection in the higher order questions later on in the comprehension to say, do we know the connection and have found it? Let's go to try and see what was supposed to be done. All right, I'll go back to the comprehension a little so that we can be able to deal with this properly. Right. It says orthosomnia is a new type of sleep problem which has arisen due to the overload of sleep information thanks to the influx of digital sleep trackers and apps in recent years. Sleep therapists have defined orthosomnia as an unhealthy obsession with achieving perfect sleep, an obsession fueled by sleep tracking devices. Orthosomnia is on the rise and is slowly becoming an addiction, which ironically is adding to the problem of sleep deprivation rather than fixing it. Wellness mania has become a global phenomenon. Orthosomnia forms part of this mania and is born from the obsession with hacking and optimizing our sleep patterns with tech trackers. This obsession has reached the point where sleep tracking is doing more harm than good. Digital gadgets are designed to show you the metrics of your sleep patterns and therefore assist in achieving a healthier lifestyle. In an increasingly stressful modern world, it seems that the pursuit of perfect sleep is the answer. So it is no wonder that these gadgets have become a hit in recent years. But the truth is that, like with all technical devices, there is the danger of overuse and over-reliance on them to the point where they simply become another source of addiction. The term orthosomnia was coined by a group of scientists from Rush University's medical school, although it is not yet officially recognized as a disorder. The scientists began to use the term when they noticed that more and more patients reported that they were struggling to sleep at night due to concerns over what their sleep tracking devices were telling them. In other words, by paying too much attention to the information given by these devices in their pursuit of a good night's rest, These people are, in fact, struggling to sleep and may spend countless hours thinking about what they are doing wrong. It is crazy to think that orthosomniacs actually exhaust themselves by thinking about how to optimize their nightly rest. So how did this obsession emerge? Remember a few years ago when the wellness gurus introduced trackers which measured our heart rates, and counted our daily steps as a general indicator of a person's health. These were introduced to huge fanfare. Even children were buying into the idea and demanding these devices. And later they evolved to monitor not only our exercise levels, but our sleep patterns too, among other things. Sleep trackers are supposedly able to accurately tell you everything from the number of hours that you sleep and the time that you spend in REM. The deep sleep phase, which is associated with brain development and learning, to how often you move, whether you snore or not, and the overall quality of your sleep. Sleep is an integral part of our well-being and something which will be cherished. But oh, how quickly we have allowed it to become just another thing to obsess about. While sleep technology is a helpful tool in our well-being kit, many of us fall into the trap of constantly checking the truckload of information which ensures us a perfect night's sleep. So one stressful night in which sleep is interrupted can lead orthosomnia sufferers to panic about the quality of their sleep. This leads to the increased production of the stress hormone, cortisol, which in turn leads to more sleeplessness, and so the vicious cycle begins. Dr. Nicola Buckle, a lecturer in sleep medicine at Oxford University, explains, if your sleep tracker tells you that you have had 4 hours of poor quality sleep, even if it is far from the truth, the chances are that this will psychologically impact your mood and energy levels the following day. This reliance then creates this vicious cycle, which will certainly impact sleep negatively in the long term. Orthosomnia sufferers are likely to exhibit symptoms such as overtiredness, wakefulness during the night, drowsiness during the day, general grumpiness, despair or anxiety, memory loss and lack of focus, which leads to the occurrence of mistakes or accidents. Experts agree that the solution to the problem of orthosomnia is to go back to basics. They suggest that each individual should establish a solid and consistent sleep routine without the use of trackers and technology. Taking care of one's sleep health is never negative, but doing so with inadequate knowledge may be potentially harmful. It can be argued that technology has robbed us of many things. Will it be allowed to rob us of sleep too? This is text A, adapted from an article by Sally Ho, PhD, January, and then text B. Let's go to the questions. Right. Our questions said 1.1. Okay. 1.1 said, outline your idea of perfect sleep and discuss, right. Outline your idea of perfect sleep and discuss to what extent you think that this is achievable. Right. When we're coming to perfect sleep, we have to use it in the context of what we have been given in the passage. One of the things that have been mentioned is technology causes us problems. So which means we have to now move to the ideas given to say, according to the title, we said in pursuit of perfect sleep. Which means when we say in pursuit, it means that we are, to what extent you think that this is achievable. So which means your answers is can be achieved, and mention the issue of less use of technology, doing a proper routine, before sleep. So, which means we were taking the ideas, I'm just highlighting what we are getting from the passage that says we must find a way of finding to what extent this can be achievable. We can achieve it if we use less of technology and not rely on technology. The comprehension touched on over-reliance and overuse of technology, which now causes problems. So which means we have to now outline that if we can stop over-reliance and overuse of technology, it means that we can achieve a perfect sleep. So that's what we meant. But if you did not agree with that a perfect sleep can be achieved, it means you were supposed to be clear to say will be difficult to achieve because technology is now an addiction, and therefore it is the only way that people distract themselves, and unfortunately it overstimulates them, and therefore they cannot do without. So as a result, it was your ideas, but it was two ways. Can be achieved, will be difficult to achieve. As long as you substantiated yourself, you would have been fine. What, according to the writer, is the reason for orthosomnia being on the rise? We were simply focusing on paragraph 1. And I believe one of the things that they mentioned is that people have turned to technological devices in order to do so. Overuse, use of technical devices. I believe that's what they mentioned there for us. And as a result, one of the other things is obsession. That is a reason. I believe the other reason that was mentioned is the over-dependence that I talked about. On sleep trackers. So that's what you could have given. Any of those two were applicable. So as a result, they have the opposite effect. So if they have the opposite effect, it means that orthosomnia becomes a problem or is on the rise. So that was 1.2. Refer to paragraph 2. It says, wellness mania has become a global phenomenon. Explain your understanding of this statement in your own words. One of the things that we're saying is wellness mania. That's what we had to break down. Obsession with being healthy. It says it's become a global is worldwide. Summarize the point that the writer is making in this paragraph, which is paragraph 3. Can we go back a little to paragraph 3 and recall and find the main idea? Right. Paragraph 3 said, sleep tracking is doing more harm than good. Digital gadgets, stressful modern world, gadgets have become a hit, overuse and over-reliance. So I believe we have to find the main point that the writer is making. I believe one of the things is a healthier lifestyle. Pursuit of perfect sleep is the answer. Okay. I believe we're starting from here. In an increasingly stressful modern world, that's where our main point is arising from. So I believe the main point is that to cope with the stress that keeps on increasing and in this modern world, a good night's sleep seems to be the perfect answer. So now people tend to use, I believe, tracking devices to ensure and find out if they did have a good night's sleep. But unfortunately, they are becoming heavily dependent on these devices. So as a result, there's a greater problem, and therefore we don't have a solution anymore. So I believe that's what we mean there. There is no solution. So that's the main thing that we are talking about. Orthosomnia is not yet officially recognized as a disorder. Why do you think that this is so? It's a new concept. This is a new concept. So as a result, what we mean by new concept is that more research is yet to be done and is being done. Still ongoing. I'll call it ongoing. And that's why now it has not been declared yet as an official disorder or diagnosis. Sleep is an integral part of our well-being and should be cherished. Discuss to what extent you agree with this statement. Be specific in your reasoning. 1.6, comment on the irony in the writer's observation at the end of this paragraph, which is paragraph 4. Let's go look at the irony. Paragraph 4 is here. This one. It is crazy to think that orthosomniacs actually exhaust themselves by thinking about how to optimize their nightly rest. Okay. In other words, by paying too much attention to the information given by these devices in their pursuit of a good night's rest, these people are in fact struggling to sleep and may spend countless hours thinking about what they are doing wrong. All right, I believe it's here. Yeah, that's our irony there. So we have to put it in our own words now. All right, comment on the irony. Right. Our irony is in the function of the trackers. So the function of the trackers is to ease people's minds, right? But people lie awake, stressed, about the information from the trackers. So the trackers are not doing their job because they are creating more tension in the users. So instead of them being eased and calmed by the issue that I'm using a tracker and I will find out, they are now stressed about the information that they will find from the tracker, and therefore it means that there's no easing being done. That was the irony. Sleep is an integral part of our well-being and should be cherished. That's a personal question. So as a result, that's where you're supposed to discuss. This is an open answer. When you say open answer, it means you give your reasons. So as a result, well-being, it means that for our health, your answers were supposed to touch on the health benefits, and the cherishing is on why we should use it and continue using it for the sake of our health. So which means you had to touch on those two. Answers were varying because of your own opinion. This is an opinion question, and therefore learners could have given a lot to say. It does ease the stress levels, because when you're sleeping, it means that your body relaxes and calms down, and therefore it means the stress levels or hormones must also now relax, which means that you become refreshed. When you are refreshed, you are able to tackle the next day's load of stress on a new path or a new leaf, and therefore it means you will cope with what is new. But unfortunately, if you don't sleep, it will be a continuation and a cycle which can lead to your breakdown. So those were the opinions that could have come out. I know there'll be so many. Explain why truckload of information is an example of hyperbole. I believe it's an exaggeration that is dealing with the amount of information which is given by the tracking device. So when we say truckload, it was an exaggeration of the extent and the amount of information given by the device itself. Number 1.9 says, explain how the writer develops the argument that people are too dependent on sleeper trackers. One of the things I believe it's the advice that she was given by the profession in the field. Let's go to paragraph 8 and take them out properly. If I remember clearly, it says advice given by a professional in the field. That was Dr. Nicola Buckley, sorry. So if your sleep tracker tells you that you have had 4 hours of poor quality sleep, even it is far from the truth, the chances are that this will psychologically impact your mood. So already when she develops the argument, she uses the advice that she's given, which shows the authenticity of the information. Secondly, I believe what she does is there's no accuracy in the information that is given. So it means that if it's not accurate, it means that most probably you won't have the correct answer of what happened. And I believe an opinion from the doctor talked about the negative impact of the trackers. So 3 things that she used were the advice. 1, it was advice. 2, it was the negative impacts. And thirdly, I believe it was the inaccuracy of the tracker. Results. So those were the 3 that she used to solidify her argument there. All right, number 1.8 says, explain why. Am I right? No, it was 1.10. Explain what it means to go back to basics. Okay, we all know it's doing things originally, going back to the simple way of doing things. Original state. That's what we mean. Simple way of doing things. Account for the rhetoric at the end of this article. Okay, let's look at the end of paragraph 12 quickly. The end of paragraph 12 said, it can be argued that technology has robbed us of many things. Will it be allowed to rob us of sleep too? All right, what do we have? We have the rhetoric, and I believe one of the things we are going to mention is the issue of her frustrations. It's a way of voicing her frustrations of how the original state of doing things have been complicated by technology. I believe it's also to include the reader to think deeply or further about the extent to which they will allow technology. So there were 2 answers there. The first one was expression of her feelings, frustration, I believe, of her frustration. Number 2, I believe it's to include the reader to question further. To what extent? They will allow technology to affect their sleep routines. So those were the 2 marks. All right, we go to question 1.12, I believe. Account for the boss's body language in this text. Hands on hips, I believe, is what I saw when we looked at that. Let me confirm again. I saw her hands on her hips Yes. Hands on her hips, I believe. There we go. So as a result, indicates that the boss is annoyed. I believe we're going to talk about annoyance there. Hands on hips. Annoyance is what we are seeing there of the boss. So as a result, because the employee is sleeping on his desk, so those were the 2 marks. Description of the body language and what it means and why the boss is annoyed. So those were the 2 marks, that the employee is sleeping on his work desk. Explain to what extent the lady's facial expression indicates that she is in agreement with the boss. I believe it's her wide open eyes, her mouth expressing the shock. So those were the things. Wide open mouth, wide eyes. I saw wide eyes and open mouth. Shock is what we accounted to, that the colleague is sleeping. To what extent does text B illustrate the points made by the writer in text A? Remember, when we come to this point, we have to find out the paragraphs that touched on what we are talking about here. I believe one of the things, paragraph 7, I believe when we're in paragraph 7, before we went to the doctor's points, is that fall into a trap of constantly checking the truckload of information, a perfect night's sleep. So one stressful night in which sleep is interrupted can lead to orthosomnia sufferers to panic about the quality of their sleep. This leads to the increased production of the stress hormone, cortisol, which in turn leads to more sleeplessness. And so the vicious cycle continues. There we go. Our connection is in paragraph 7. So as a result, we are finding that it can increase, tiredness in the workplace, and therefore that's why they will end up sleeping in the workplace, because they did not get any sleep. They were interrupted. So that's the signs of an orthosomnia. So it's our link to paragraph 7. This is how we answer this question. All right, let's go to this space and try and put it down so that we don't miss the formula of answering this in the exam. One of the things we start with is that text B, it's under text B, so which means our first answer is from text B, not text A. The question falls under text A and text B, but remember it's at the end of the comprehension and falls under text B mostly. So we are finding a connection back to text A, right? Text B shows an employee sleeping on the job, which is supported by text A, paragraph 7. This is how we answer these questions. That stated that sleeplessness is the result of staying up, checking the results of the information, right? So we always make a connection to text A because we are using what is there and find a connection. The most important thing that I need us to understand is that our connection is what we have here in text B, and we link it to a paragraph in text A and take out what is relevant for us in that paragraph, and therefore we find the connection. All right, let's go to the summary. We have to underline our 7 points and see whether you found the relevant ones or not. The article gives advice on how to avoid daytime sleepiness. Summarize the advice given. Your summary should include 7 points and must not exceed 90 words. My apologies. You must write your summary in a fluent paragraph. Remember, we're not FAL, we are home language, and therefore our paragraph is the denominator for the summary. You are not required to include a title. Indicate the word count at the end of your summary. Learners always leave this out. Please, let's follow all instructions as much as possible. All right, let's see how many we would have come up with. Let's go to paragraph 1. It is normal to experience daytime sleepiness once in a while, but it is estimated that more than 10% of the population experience excessive sleepiness during what should be their waking hours and may need to make some changes in their lifestyle in order to combat this. I believe our point is here. This is our point. They may need to make some changes. That's the advice we are giving. 1, caffeine is a stimulant and may help to keep you awake during the day, but drinks which contain caffeine should not be consumed late in the day, as they may interfere with a good night's sleep. I believe this is what we are talking about. Should not be consumed late in the day. So that's our second point. Our third point, it's sugary snacks can give you a quick boost of energy, but this is often followed by a crash, which causes low blood sugar, mental fogginess, and further fatigue. It is better to choose low sugar, high fiber snacks. I believe we are here. Right, that's our point number 3. We are moving on with our 4th paragraph. Regular physical activity will keep you energized and allow you to sleep better at night. Definitely, that's our advice. We are there. That's our advice. Right, we move on. I believe whatever is coming after is right. I'll write or, because I believe I'm seeing 2 points, but they're falling under one category. So it means that in this paragraph, you could have taken the first one, or you could have taken a physical movement will make you feel less tired in the long run. So as a result, it means you could have taken either the first one or the second one to say under this being physical and active, those ones were relevant. That's why I wrote or there. Number 5, it says you may feel overly tired due to dehydration, so it is important to drink water. To drink water throughout the day. Right, I believe we have our point there. To drink water throughout the day. It is also a good idea to spend at least 30 minutes a day outside in the natural sunlight. Definitely, we are on natural sunlight in order to regulate your sleep-wake cycle. Deep breathing raises blood oxygen levels in the body. This lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, and improves your circulation. So which means it's deep breathing. That is the advice. All right. The idea is to inhale to the abdomen, not to the chest. That is extra information, so we are not taking it. We are going on to the next one. Monotonous tasks can add to the feeling of sleepiness, so it might help to switch tasks from time to time. There we go. There's our point. In order to stimulate your mind. And then I believe establishing a consistent waking time is where we are. That's an advice. We are taking the main point. This was additional information and explanation. If you constantly feel tired during the day or your sleepiness gets in the way of your daily life of underlying conditioning, you should consult a doctor. That's where we are. So it means that the advice is you should consult a doctor. Right. You had so many points. Let's count them and see how many did we have. You had so many today. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7. Okay. We have 8 and we have 9. You had your 9 points. I believe the standard is the same nowadays for FET. So you have more points than 7 nowadays, which means you're still safe. So you just choose the best 7 that you can give and change into your own words as far as possible or as much as possible, and you'll be fine. Please remember, we use synonyms. You have to use your own words as far as possible. So let's not tamper with that one. And then the next one, which is section C, analyzing advertising. Right, we have to answer the questions. All right. Text read as follows: Divine Beds, affordable quality. We deliver all around Gauteng province. All our beds have a 10-year warranty. Okay. This is the advert that we're dealing with. Special offer, it says. And I believe it's Divine Beds. Open Monday to Saturdays, valid while stocks last, on special, 30 discount, super value. All right, let's go to the questions. The question says, my apologies, the question in this one says, write the abbreviation EFT in full. Very easy, electronic funds transfer. We all know this one. Of course, economics learners would have enjoyed themselves. Electronic funds transfer. All right. Give a synonym for the word warranty. I believe warranty, that's a guarantee. Yes. This sounds familiar to something that was done, but I don't know what. I need to remember. Explain the implication of intention in the use of the words while stock lasts. I believe limited. That's what while stocks last means. It's limited. And therefore, it means that what does it do? Intention. It will evoke the desire. I believe it's a desire in the, what is this one? In the reader to respond quickly. To respond quickly. Right. Evaluate the visuals with reference to the product which is being advertised. I believe it's a woman sleeping peacefully. The visual, you have to describe it all the time. Evaluate the visuals, which means you have to describe the visual. It's a woman sleeping peacefully. So now what are we saying? It shows the comfort and the features that were outlined of the bed that is being advertised. So it means that you had to make a connection. It was 2 marks, so it means you had to describe your visual and make a connection to the description of the quality of the bed that is being advertised. Hurry up is an example of persuasive language. To what extent do you agree? I believe it has, what is this one? An exclamation mark, which shows the urgency. So as a result, we are saying it emphasizes on the urgency, and therefore it shows the possibility that you might not find the offer if you delay. So those were the 2 answers that could have been given. Outline how the words we deliver could positively influence the target market. I believe one of the things is effortless service is coming into my mind. It's an effortless service that is being, what is this one? Being provided by the consumer. One of the things is that you can place the order even from home, and it will be delivered to you without any problem. So it influences the reader to be interested in the product. All right, let's go to question 4. On question 4, we have the cartoon. Is it? It is. It's Saturday. Oh boy. No school, no homework, just cartoons and fun the whole day long. Hooray. Turn on the TV. Get out the cereal. It's Saturday. You're getting up. It's barely light out. I'm going to the office and get some sleep. Okay. All right, let's go to account for the exclamation marks in frame 2. One of the things that we must talk about is it shows the boy's excitement as he's listing all the things that makes Saturday favorable for him. It was 1 mark, but our mark is definitely emphasis of the boy's excitement, indication of the boy's excitement. So that's our mark. What part of speech is the word hooray? It's interjection. Without fail, that's an interjection. Refer to frame 3, account for the bold print and the extra letters in Saturday. Shouting. One of the things we realize it's in bold, so which means it shows the shouting that is happening. That's the first factor. Being dragged out. The letters are being dragged out. That's another one. Excitement. Overly excitement. So any of those was appropriate. Identify and explain one visual. Facial, I saw facial expression. Wide mouth indicating joy. This is what I'm seeing in frame 3. This is our first relevant visual technique. It's the facial expression. That's the first one. It will be the facial expression. As a result, you had to describe it. It's 2 marks and give us what it means. Body language without fail, raised arms, which shows excitement as well. So it means that we had facial expression, movement lines. Yeah, I think so. We had so many bouncing that is happening. This is what we mean by techniques, all of these. So as a result, that's what we're talking about. So you had a lot that you could have given. So you just had to discuss one. I just had to revise all. Outline the connotation of the dad's words in frame 4. The connotation is, I believe, the boy is making too much noise for him to continue sleeping. So which means he'll go to the office where it's quiet and he will be able to sleep. So that's the meaning of the dad's words there. Connotation is that the boy is loud and making noise and he will go to a quieter place, which is his office, not to work, but to sleep because it will be quiet. Give one word to describe the mom's facial expression in frame 4. I believe it's confusion for me. Bewilderment. Any of those was applicable. Confusion. Bewilderment. Any of those, I believe, came in. And then finally, rewrite the dad's words in frame 4 using correct grammar. I'm going to the office and get some sleep. I am going to the office to get some sleep. I am going, that's proper English, to the office to get some sleep. We go to our most difficult question in the exam, which is question number 5. Our question 5 says, simply put, hypersomnia is the tendency to oversleep or sleep too much. We have all been there. You are getting over the flu, or you just have started a rigorous workout routine, or exams are approaching and you feel like you just cannot get up in the mornings. Don't be alarmed. Sometimes your body just needs a little bit of extra rest. Dr. Michelle Des Moines says any kind of injury or illness or even a work schedule which prevents you from getting enough sleep can cause you to sometimes need more sleep than you usually do. It is generally nothing to worry about. So what counts as oversleeping? Adults generally need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep each night. For teens, the sleep requirement is a little bit more, about 8 to 10 hours per night. Of course, there is room for individuals' differences and variation within the sleep estimates. There are those who feel just fine after just 5 or 6 hours of sleep. There are also those folks officially called long sleepers who make a habit of hitting the hay by 8 p.m. so that they can wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 6 a.m. Whatever works for you is probably A-okay, unless your sleep habits are affecting your ability to function. Hypersomnia is one of the first signs of depression. So if you're getting more than 9 hours of sleep at night, every night, for weeks at a time, but you will still wake up feeling tired and out of sorts, then you may be suffering from a mild depression and you should consult a sleep therapist or counselor. All right. Identify the truncation in paragraph 1 and write it out in full. Paragraph 1, what was the truncation? Exams, definitely. It's exams, which means examination. It's exams. I pray people got this one right and did not confuse. It's exams. Write out the following statement in reported speech. Examinations. We're supposed to write it out in full. Examinations. Dr. Dimon said a hectic work schedule prevents me from getting enough sleep. It will be Dr. Dimon said that. I'm going from there, said that. A hectic, let's go with it, work schedule prevented her, our tense becomes past, our pronoun changes from me to her, from getting enough sleep. From getting enough sleep. All right. Explain the use of the dash in paragraph 3. Let's look at it quickly and see what it was. A bit more, about 8 to 10 hours. That is definitely additional information. Where are we? Additional information. Identify an example of colloquialism in paragraph 4. We are looking at paragraph 4 already. I believe it's folks. Definitely, that's the one jumping out there. Yes, it's definitely folks there. Refer to paragraph 4. Explain the term bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Who make a habit of hitting by 8 p.m. so that they can wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Alert, energetic. Those are the things coming into my mind now. Energetic, revived. So those are the answers that are jumping out. Identify and correct the spelling error. I believe I saw officially. When I was reading, I think I saw officially. Yeah, officially it's this one. It's a double L. It's a double L-Y. So that was the problem. Identify the type of sentence used at the end of paragraph 4. Paragraph 4 was loaded. Hey, whatever works for you is probably okay. Unless you sleep, definitely it's a complex sentence. Affecting your ability to function. It's a complex sentence. All right. And then it says, remove the redundancy in paragraph 4. I saw this first. I believe I saw in the first line, I saw two things. Yeah, individual differences and variation. That is redundancy. So it was individual differences within or individual variation within. So one of those had to come out. What part of speech is the underlined word in paragraph 5? And it is sleep. Consult a sleep therapist. Adjective. It's definitely an adjective. All right, rewrite the following sentence in the passive voice. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night in order to meet the average requirement. 8 to 10 hours becomes that. 8 to 10 hours of sleep is needed by teenagers in order to meet the average requirement. Okay. That's our 70 marks that was done this morning by the grade 11s. Let's revise. Let's make sure we seal in all our sections, seal in all our content and the strategy of answering the questions. And I believe everything will go smoothly as the year progresses. A good day to you all.